Hello everyone. Today, we'll delve into the summary of the story Snitch, which is based on true events. It revolves around a father who embarks on an undercover mission for the DEA after his estranged son gets framed in a drug deal by his best friend. Let's jump right in. Jason Collins is a teenager who has just begun college. He is persuaded by his friend Craig to ship drugs to his house. Jason hesitates at first, but Craig promises him a large amount of money and the opportunity to try the drug with his girlfriend. Jason lives with his mother Sylvie. They live separately from his father, John Matthews, who owns a construction company after their divorce. John, on his way to going home, notices one of the workers still working. He approaches the worker, Daniel James, and asks why he is still working after hours. Daniel tells him that he needs to move the bag inside due to the impending weather. John helps Daniel and asks him how long he has been working, finding out that he just started 3 weeks ago. The package arrives at Jason's house, and hesitatingly, Jason signs for the package, which contains pills, and he finds a tracking device inside. DEA officers break into the house, and Jason begins to flee but is chased down and arrested by Agent Cooper. Meanwhile, John and his wife Elise are having a birthday party for their daughter when he is called by his ex-wife Sylvie about Jason being arrested. John arrives at the DEA station and meets with Sylvie, who tells him she still can't meet with Jason, which prompts John to ask the officer about Jason but is told to wait until he is called. They then meet with an investigator, Terry Green. He informs them that Jason is being transferred from the holding cell to the courtroom. Terry tells them that Craig has set Jason up to reduce his own sentence, and they have been charged under federal mandatory minimum sentencing laws designed to ensnare high-level drug traffickers. Jason is facing a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison. Terry suggests to Jason that he should help the DEA make drug trafficking arrests to reduce his sentence from 10 years to 2 years. However, Jason tells him that he doesn't know anyone else besides Craig. Terry then asks if he knows any friends who use drugs and might want to sell them. Jason refuses to cooperate and to set up his friends, even after being pressured by his parents. He would rather take his chances in court. Terry advises him not to work with the prosecutor, which could extend his minimum sentence to 30 years. But Jason still refuses to set up his friends. Using his connections, John manages to meet with the local U.S. attorney, Joanne Keegan, who is running an aggressive anti-drug campaign. Keegan tells John that there's nothing she can do to reduce Jason's sentence if Jason refuses to cooperate, but John proposes that he could help make an arrest. Keegan explains that's not how the law works. Later, John visits Jason in prison and discovers that Jason has been beaten. He asks Jason what happened, but instead, Jason opens up about how he feels abandoned since John moved out and started a new family, and how he regrets accepting the package. Jason begins to break down, and John tells him to control himself so others in the prison don't target him. Feeling hopeless about helping his son, John is determined to try to catch the people selling drugs on the streets, but fails and gets beaten by the group of people, only to be saved by the police. The next morning, John is called to Keegan's office because of the incident. John refuses to back down and asks Keegan what he can do to help his son. Keegan tells John she will need a solid arrest of someone in possession of narcotics in a quantity that constitutes conspiracy to distribute. She warns John that he will bear all the risk if it failed. John starts looking into his employee's files, who is ex-con, and find out ex-convict Daniel, who had been arrested for distributing narcotics before. John approaches Daniel, offering him a ride home and something to eat. Daniel thanks John for the job he has to support his family. John begins to ask about Daniel's past as an ex-con, and how he caught a worker trying to smuggle drugs using a company semi-truck 2 years ago. Daniel asks if John suspects him, but John explains he needs Daniel's help to introduce him to a dealer, which Daniel refuses, even after being offered $10,000. John ups the offer to $20,000, but Daniel still refuses. On way home, Daniel sees his son hanging out with a gangster group and told his son to go home. He then warns them to stay away from his son. And at home, Daniel told his son to stay away from the group and promising to move to a better place for him. The next day, Daniel agrees to help John, unaware that John real attention to act as informant. Daniel introduces John to Malik, an extremely dangerous, high-ranking local drug dealer with 2 strikes. John tells Malik, after being threatened with the gun, that his construction business is struggling due to current economy without a supplement to its revenues. To save his business, he offers to run drugs in his freight trucks with almost zero risk. Malik agrees under the condition that John and Daniel drive the initial run themselves. With the deal John secured with Malik, he meets with Keegan and Cooper. Cooper informs John that Malik is a highly influential person in the district with a very dangerous criminal history. Keegan officially signs John on as an informant and promises to reduce Jason's sentence to 1 year if they manage to arrest Malik. John and Daniel inform their families they need to travel for work as an excuse to make the drug run from Malik. Cooper leads a task force to monitor any dealings John arranges as evidence for an arrest. Nervous, John asks Cooper for advice, who tells him to be himself, a man trying to save his business for his family. Daniel arrives at the company, and John begins to move to the location with Daniel, driving to the pickup point near the Mexican border. Arriving the next morning, they find what looks like a normal metal scrap factory and meet Benicio and his gang, asking how they will hide the drugs. Daniel told them they will using bags of cement. They start loading the drugs into the bags, unaware they're being watched by Juan Carlos El Topo Pintera, the cartel leader. Suddenly, they're ambushed by rival gangs attempting to hijack the pickup. During the fight, John manages to escape in his truck. Cooper, monitoring John's movements, instructs the local PD not to respond to the shots to avoid tipping off Malik. Impressing cartel kingpin Pintera with how John handled the situation, told Malik he won't use John. John and Daniel arrives at the company as the promise, but Malik told them to put the drugs into John pickup and changes the location. John told Daniel to move the drugs while his goes to bathroom. John goes to his office to tell Cooper about the changes, and Daniel noticed the light from the office and the building phone has been used. Daniel then confront John and threat him with a gun to know who his call, and John told he just call his wife, but Daniel still didn't believe because John didn't use his cell phone and keep push John for the answer, which John told him he want to use the company phone to let his wife know he been working to save the company, and Daniel believe him. Then John and Daniel drives to the location while been followed by Cooper. At the location, John and Daniel meet with Malik while been surveillance by Cooper and the team. John is forced to test the drugs and receive the money from Malik. Malik mentions a meeting with higher-ranking cartel members. Cooper hears the news from a wiretap and holds off making the arrest. Confused by the delay, John is asked by Daniel why they're waiting, but John makes excuses because the drugs and leaves. At home, John's strange behavior alarms Elise, which forced John to told about the deal he make with the government to save Jason. Elise start to argue with him how dangerous the deal to John, her and they daughter. John confronts Keegan and Cooper about not arresting Malik as agreed. Cooper explains that he need to make a call off the arrest to get chances to catch higher priority targets. Keegan reneges on her promise to reduce Jason's sentence unless John cooperates further. Sylvie calls John and then leave the company but notices by Daniel who begun to follow him. Sylvie told John about Jason has been assaulted in prison and denied visitors. Daniel confronts John about his prison visit, learning of John's arrangement with the DEA, and is furious, saying that the cartel will kill John and his families if he tell the cartel about John. Daniel rushes home and his wife find out about the money he got from the deal with John. Daniel pleads with his wife that have to go into hiding with their son. Meanwhile, John arrives home, found out Malik and his man at his house make Sylvie scared. John asks her to take their daughter at school and go to hiding. John asked Malik why he come to his house. Malik told him that someone want to meet him and brought John to meets with Pintera, who wants him to run nearly $100 million in drug profits into Mexico alone, and offers to make John as a member of the cartel's inner circle if he succeeds. Before leaving, John was handed cell phone for further instructions. The next morning, John meets with Keegan and Cooper to ask them if the connection between his and Jason is compromised. Keegan assured John that information about that has been handled and Jason is saves. John told about the meeting with Pintera. Hear about Pintera make Keegan eager to arresting such a high-profile dealer, but Cooper tried to ask Keegan to abort the mission because the danger in suspecting the cartel will kill John afterwards. Keegan ignore Cooper advice and ask John to do the run and promise to fulfill her promise to reduce as Jason sentenced. But John say he will do it if only his son been released immediately. At the park, Cooper told John the danger if he involved and the reason cartel choice him in short time. Because he like other victim before. Family man who has child in middle school and easy to be threat and to be replaced. John meet with Daniel who has been hiding, thanking him for not revealing the truth to the cartel. John reveal the plan to free themselves from both the government and the cartel. The next morning, John receives a call about the run and begins moving. During the run, John is able to escape Cooper's surveillance by changing semi-truck under the flyover. Simultaneously, Daniel received call from John and begin to sneaks into Malik's house, killing his guards and fatally wounding him. Before dying, Malik reveals Pintera's phone number to Daniel. John arrives to the places to pick up the money and been told by Benicio that they will follow John from behind until he arrive at the border. After receive Pintera phone number, John calls Cooper, asking him to track both his new phone and Pintera's, effectively giving Cooper both the money and the kingpin at once. The cartel find out about John and Jason, leading to a highway chase and shootout. Cooper tracks Pintera's location and raids his house, but he escapes. Cooper manages to see Pintera in the car just leave and begin to follow him. Pintera is surrounded by federal agents and surrenders because his young son is with him. John Stillben Chase loses control, and the truck overturns during the chase, and he finds himself stuck while a man runs towards him with the gun. He then grabs his shotgun, but empty. The man arrive, and John and Payne look at the man who has police badges while the people who've been chased, John, run from the place. Keegan holds a media conference about the arrest, while John behind the stage with Cooper, who ask him,
"So you're gonna vote for her?"
Daniel meet with Cooper, who refuses to go into the witness protection program with his family, and Cooper hand a large federal reward check that John received for the capture of Pintera to Daniel. Jason is released, while John and his family go into the witness protection program. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content.